Today we're talking about the top 5 cigars that pair with the world's greatest beverage, coffee. We do a lot of top 5s, we do a lot of samplers. This is a really special one because one of my favorite beverages to pair with cigars is a delicious cup of coffee, specifically Scoutmaster coffee. Today we are going through 5, which they all happen to be almost Robustos because that's just the way I vibe, especially with coffee. I like a shorter smoke, but these are the 5 that I've been going back to in the mornings to pair with my cup of joe. Let's get right into it. Number 1, in no particular order, however, this does happen to be the number 1 cigar at Creekside, the Rodriguez Reserva Privada in Robusto, Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapped cigar, double binder, Nicaraguan fillers. This cigar is medium bodied. Sometimes I get like a medium plus in flavor, but with a coffee, it holds up to it. I find it actually happens to be the only Connecticut on my list because a lot of times I find Connecticut's get drowned out by a more bold cup of coffee, or even, I don't know if it's like the heat element of coffee and then you're smoking with a cigar, it can sometimes make the flavors disappear. Not the Reserva Privada. This thing stands up to it. There's plenty of noticeable transitions in the cigar, even while drinking a cup of coffee with it. But I get this like delicious cinnamon, nutmeg, kind of baking spice that comes in about 1/3 of the way through the cigar. And with a medium to medium plus roasted coffee, it's one of my favorite pairings. It's a go-to for sure. And it's NOAA approved. All right, next up, and new to the humidor here at Creekside, but not new to me, one of my all-time favorite go-to cigars, the HVC Pan Caliente, also in Robusto. This cigar is a predominantly Nicaraguan cigar wrapped with a Criollo 98 wrapper. I'm so used to smoking these cigars that are Corojo 99, so it's really rare when you get to smoke one with a Criollo 98 wrapper. Normally it's in the binder or it's in the filler. This cigar is like right down the middle. It's really like bready and toasty. There's a lot of baking spices, kind of like the Reserva Privada, but I find even more pronounced baking spices throughout this one, really like nutmeggy. There's a touch of cedar in there, but that cinnamon, nutmeg, almost a little bit of clove too, that comes through, and it just enhances the coffee, and so the pairing just works magically. For a long time, when I was really into coffee, I could never find a pairing with cigars because I liked really light, bright, fruity, effervescent coffees, and when I'd smoke a cigar with them, they tasted horrific. They were like sour lemon water. And so it wasn't until I started drinking darker roasted coffees, which used to be a sin to me, that I realized, wow, coffee and cigars are like one of the greatest pairings ever. And that is where this one comes in. The Crowned Heads Mil Diaz. This was one of the first cigars I really started intentionally pairing with coffee. And it matches the profile of what I've already talked about with like the Pan Caliente. And what is so interesting about this set here is it's another right down the middle. It's medium bodied. It has a really nice oaky, bready sweetness to it. It's creamy. It's got a lot of smoke output, and it complements coffee really well. These aren't necessarily cigars here that have coffee tasting notes or dominate the coffee so you only taste the cigar. They work in harmony together, and the Mil Diaz is no exception. All right, we got 2 more. Hang in there with me. And also, just so that you know, 2 things. 1, we're doing a giveaway. I decided that in this moment because Flea Check said we should do it. And if Chris behind the camera says we should do it, we're doing it so you can thank him. I'm gonna give away one of these 5-pack samplers. All you gotta do is drop a comment and let me know your favorite cigar to pair with coffee. And if you wanna grab this sampler, it's live now on the website, like always. Come grab a curated sampler from Creekside and let us know what you think once you grab it, smoke through it with some coffees. I think you're gonna enjoy it. All right, number 4, you had to know Serino was making its way onto this list. The Serino Wayfarer, particularly in Corona. Now, the reason I love it in Corona is because it's a little more jam-packed with strength and flavor than the other Wayfarer lines. I find Wayfarer to be one of the sweetest, naturally sweetest cigars in our humidor. In the Corona size, it kind of amps up a little bit in my opinion. It's a little heavier. There's a touch of strength in there, and that with the coffee is magical. The sweetness doesn't get drowned out. It's got a little more of this like sticky, coconutty, there's some like chocolate and caramels and just enough spice to let you know you're smoking a predominantly Nicaraguan cigar, but it's not gonna overpower. Again, this is the cigar coffee harmony pack. They're not rivals here. All right, last and certainly not least, I mean, one of my all-time favorites from Aganorsa Cigars. This is the Guardian of the Farm, the Corojo. in JJ, which is a 5.25 by 50. This cigar to me is the most powerful in the whole lineup as far as flavor is concerned. It is not a strong cigar. None of these on here what I consider to be an overly strong cigar, but this has flavor right off the gate. You got the closed foot on this cigar, so immediately you're met with that Corojo 99, sweet and spicy. You get right into it and it gets really creamy and oaky, and then the floodgates open of like a cinnamon candy bomb. And so for me, if I'm drinking a darker roasted coffee, and especially a concentrated coffee like an espresso, there is arguably no better cigar to pair than this one. The cigar stands up to it. You get a lot of the tasting notes that you would get just smoking the cigar by itself, but then it almost feels like as you're smoking it, it's adding some like dustings of flavor to the coffee. I can't explain it really well, at least I feel like I'm not explaining it really well. All I know is you gotta try this one. Nicaraguan Puro, like most everything is from Aganorsa, and just a complete, awesome, harmonious pairing. All right, so these are the 5 cigars that I've been smoking with coffee. I hope you all will give them a shot. And again, let me know in the comments which ones you guys have really been enjoying with your coffees and what kind of coffee you're drinking with your cigars. I keep getting that flipped, but that's okay because we do this live. No editing. Let it ride, Ramsey. Cheers. Have a great morning. And next time you drink a cigar and smoke a coffee, think of me. Peace.